Hey guys, pardon the floaty head and the awkward angle and bad lighting and my floofy hair. I just took a shower a little while ago and my hair is drip drying. Just doing a quick, very poorly angled handheld clip here at the beginning of this video just to apologize for not getting up 2 videos like I had said I was going to last week. First of all, it took me a lot longer to finish that crafty tag video than I had anticipated, and then on top of that I had forgotten that I had an MRI on my back scheduled for 6 a.m. on the Friday. So that basically screwed up my whole schedule for Friday, and then Saturday was spent in what was essentially a sleep hangover, and I was basically asleep all day. And then on Sunday and Monday I was all discombobulated because I had been told on Friday that the MRI results would be back in about 10 days. And 2 days later on the Sunday, my doctor called and left a message telling me to make an appointment on Monday. So I spent all of Sunday and the majority of Monday all out of my head freaking out thinking that something is terribly wrong. And I went to my doctor on Monday and there was absolutely nothing he couldn't have told me over the phone. It was not bad news, it was really the same news. It didn't really tell me much anything different than what the CT scan on my back had told me. Did I ever tell you guys what the diagnosis was? I don't remember. If I haven't, let me know and I will make a separate video about that. But yeah, there was nothing in the MRI report that he couldn't have told me over the phone. So basically from Friday through Monday I was totally discombobulated and trying to get back on track now. I did film the video you're about to watch on last Thursday because I intended to get it up by like Saturday and then that just didn't happen. And I'm now filming this little intro clip on Wednesday, so sadly I don't think I'm going to get 2 videos up this week either. So yeah, that's just wanted to apologize for, guaranteeing that I was going to do 2 videos last week and then didn't, and now we're halfway through this week and I'm just gonna edit this footage now and hopefully get it up in the next day or 2. But yeah, I just want to let you know, sorry for promising something that I couldn't actually do. Hi to everybody who is new to the channel. Yeah, enjoy the video. Hey guys, I am back to finally do my last project share of killing a 12x12 paper pad, the Antique Streets paper pad that was a hot buy at Michael's. Finally finished it off, finally. So this will be the last project share. And I did a couple of different things this time around, including art journaling of sorts. So I'll start with that because it's the quickest part of the share. I got this binder at the thrift store, I think last year. It's not really a binder, it's like a mini album that someone made. Someone definitely made this. This is definitely not a manufactured product. Somebody made this, so I didn't really want to get rid of it. I haven't been using it. And I was keeping it sort of like as a inspiration for my own mini albums, but then it was kind of getting on my way, but I don't want to get rid of it because it's really kind of cool. So I thought, well, why don't I use it like kind of an art journal and sort of start trying my hand at that in this. So that's what I did. I had some scraps that I didn't know what to do with, so I thought I would put them in here. I haven't done very much. So this is just an envelope that was in here, and I had seen a technique for using up tiny scraps to kind of make a circle. People were using it in scrapbook layouts, and I wanted to try it, but I didn't want to try it on a card. And it's a good thing I didn't, because as you can see, the circle was not exactly centered here. So I basically just took all my itty bitty tiny scraps that I didn't know what to do with, and I put them on the back of this envelope, and then took this. This is actually a piece of the pad cover that I couldn't really use because it's bits and pieces of border strips, and I just stuck it there to cover the gap where the strips kind of met in the middle, sort of thing. And it looks okay. It's just a way to try something. And then I just used a few extra scraps to do the flap here, and then I was pretty much out of little scraps after that. So that's literally all I did for quote-unquote art journaling with my scraps, but it was a fun way to use it up and to try something new. Next up, we have some decorative post-it note covers. This is something that I saw in tutorials probably 2 years ago and never got around to trying until now. I will say one thing about these post-it note covers that is kind of deceiving is it takes up larger pieces of paper than you would expect. Even the tiny ones, which I'll show you in a minute. These are the full-size pads, and they take up much more paper than you would expect, so it's not quite as much of a scrap buster as you would think it would be. So I'm kind of on the fence as to whether I want to make more of these or not. But they're just, like I said, they were just paper. These were just post-it notes that I had in my stash. I put a little Velcro closure on it, and yeah, it's just a little pink post-it note with a fancy cover on it with a Velcro closure, and then I used the Dollar Tree sticker to decorate it. And then this one again was a blue one that was in my stash. And same thing. And these are nice. I like them. I just don't know if they're worth the time. Like because they do use up a larger piece of paper that you could use on a card or something. I'm not 100% clear on whether I want to do this again, but I do like how they turned out. And then I made 10 mini post-it note covers, or decorative post-it notes, or whatever you want to call them. I have 3 here that don't have decorations or closures on them, and that's because I kind of screwed up the dimensions, and there's like a big gap at the bottom, and it looks kind of dumb. So these are the ones that were kind of oopses. They're still nice looking, they're just oopses. So I've got 7 that are not oopsies, and this one here, the 3 that are oopsies are skinnier than the rest of these, and then this is the 4th one that's skinny. The post-it notes that I used for this one, I got at Wow What a Deal, which is like your dollar store with more. It's got all the same products, that sort of thing. So it was like a 4-pack for $1, and those are like normal post-it notes, so they were fine. But you'll notice I have 3 post-it note holders that go this way and 3 that are vertical, and that's because these post-it notes that I got at Dollarama, which are thicker, and I found some value packs that had 6 for $1.25 rather than 4. Their sticky parts up is here. You would think it would be like this, like every sticky note in the world, but no, it's here. So technically these are vertical sticky notes. So I made some vertical ones, but it looks really kind of stupid. So I did 3H direction because I wasn't sure which one would like be more appealing. Like, you want it shaped like a normal post-it note, but then your stickies go this way, or do you want it facing the same way as the stickies? I don't know. So this was again an interesting experiment in using up some larger scraps. I'm not sure that I would do the mini post-it notes again. I probably will do one more set because I think I have one more 6-pack from Dollarama that needs to get used up, but I really just don't like how these are facing this way. That was a little bit of a disappointment. I may go and buy more of these skinnier ones that are 4 for $1 at Wow What a Deal because they face the right way, but I don't know. And finally we have all the cards. I experimented with a couple of different sizes of cards, in part because I had a couple of different sizes of scraps of craft color cardstock to use up. So these are 3x3 and they use these little cut aparts from the pad. So I thought they would make nice little encouragement cards, and then I've just got some scraps of the blue flower paper and they're embellished and there's blank on the inside. And then I made 6 little 2x2 cards. Again, this was just kind of experimenting with cardstock scraps and whatnot. These were again cut aparts from the pad that were just kind of very small and awkward. I wasn't sure how to use them. So again, I took some small and awkward scraps that were around the same size and just stuck them in the background, like layering. I think they turned out okay. These ones, I don't know, but this one's okay. These were the result of me finding a couple of scraps that I didn't realize I still had. These 2 like blue pattern ones in the background here, they were part of the border strips, and they were like leftovers from when I made pockets, and I really liked them, so I wanted to use them. So what I ended up doing was I pulled out that gold paper, you know, when that big crafting collection at Dollar Tree came out last year with all the golden craft stuff, and one of them was a pack of gold paper. I finally pulled that out. I haven't used that yet, and I used my brand new 1.5-inch circle punch. Punched out a circle here because there was kind of a gap between the 2 scraps, so I covered it with that circle, and then I took a smaller punch and made a half circle, again just to cover that up. And then I had these 2 flowered things cut out already. I cut them out trying to make some embellishments for one of the magnet closure things in one of the mini albums, and they didn't really work, so I still had these punched out scraps, so I just kind of layered them on top of the gold circle to add some decoration. And then this card here was kind of like a cry for help out of desperation trying to use up scraps. These 4 little bits here were the punch outs from when I made pockets with these same border strips, and I punch a little half circle in it to show that it's a pocket. And again, I really liked this pattern, so I didn't want to get rid of them, but I didn't know what to do with them. So again, I tried to cover up the card with a gold punched out circle, then I used some mashing craft stock just to make another circle, and then I used a little piece of random scrap that I found, put a gold metallic pearl in the middle. Yeah, I'm happier with these 4, obviously, and then this one was kind of a, I'm not thrilled with this one, but it was an attempt to use everything up, so there's that. Next up, I have 11 oddly sized cards. They're not quite 5x7, they're kind of like 5 8.5 by 6.5 or a little bigger than that. I found at the thrift store a grab bag of 2 sets of pre-made card bases and envelopes. There were 40 cream color ones and 50 white ones, and it was like $3. So that worked out really well, especially as I was making my standard A2 size cards and thinking, wow, these look really good on cream cardstock, too bad I don't have any. And then I found these. But yeah, they are a weird size. So these ones, because I had made some A2 sized bases as far as like the base to put on top of an actual card, they were a bit small compared to the full-size card. Now I did make some, you'll see them in a minute, where I cut the card down to A2 size, but I didn't really want to do that necessarily, and I found with some of these, if there was a lot of yellow pieces along the edge, they were a bit too pale to go directly onto the cream cardstock, so I decided to keep the cards the size they were, and then I just made like a larger base out of craft cardstock to just give it some dimension. And I have discovered that I kind of screwed up on these. As I was making these, I originally had, like, I'd cut out the cardstock bits to put between the card and the base made of scraps, and all of a sudden I was missing one, and I couldn't figure out why, so I had to make a new one. And I have discovered that the one I was missing is attached to the back of this. So this one has an extra layer of love on it, I guess you could say. Whoops! So a lot of these were just these scrap bases that I made. I just sort of ran out of ideas to creatively use scraps by the time I got to this point, so I was just basically making, what do they call them, Franken pages, where you just put them all together into a base, and then I just put some journaling cards on top. Some of them are embellished, some are not, because I thought they were busy enough with all the scraps. And finally, I made 31 A2 sized cards. I experimented with a couple of different techniques. I did make a couple of shaker cards. This is the first time I tried using repurposed packaging for the shaker, because I had these Instax frames that I wasn't sure how to use, and I thought the one that said hello would make a good card front. But I figured the easiest way to put a shaker behind it was to use some reused packaging. So I did that, and then I put the gold leaf trim that we all went nuts for at Dollarama on it to try and cover up the ugly, as I've seen it referred to. I don't know how I feel about this card. I kind of hated it when it was done. I like it better now. I think the vines do go with the little flower bit that's in the background, and it was nice to use some of my chunkier sequins and quite a bit more sequins than I would normally put in a shaker card. And then I had ordered some of these puffy frame stickers off of Amazon. They're from the Crate Paper All Heart collection, and I only ordered them because I needed to buy some more ATG gun tape and some double-sided tape, and I wasn't going to get the free shipping unless I bought something else, so this was within the dollar limit that I needed to hit the free shipping, and I thought I might be able to make shaker cards with them, in part because I thought they came with acetate on them. That's what it looked like in the packaging, and then when I got them I thought they were acetate. It's actually the sticker backing that is on them, unfortunately, but I found that the sticker is pretty snug to the acetate. Like, you have to really work to get it off, so it's not like, you know, some stickers they come right off the backing. These are on really snug, so I figured, okay, I'll just leave the backing on them and use them as acetate. And so far it's working well. I just put some foam tape behind it. You can kind of see them, but not too badly. I think it works out. So far they haven't gone anywhere, so it seems to have worked. And I mean, it's a little bit snug for the shakers, probably because the foam tape I used is kind of thin, but you can get it going in there. And then I just used some Tim Holtz chat stickers that, again, I've had for at least a year and never used, so it was nice to finally use some of those. And I think they worked out pretty good. These are the other two shaker cards that I made with those puffy frames. They came with dark pink and light pink. Again, I thought this one just worked out nicely, just with the You Inspire Me on it. And then this one kind of amuses me because I put the frame down off center by accident, and you can kind of see the foam sticking out a bit more on this one. So when I saw in the small chat, or whatever it's called, small talk book of stickers, these two words were right next to each other, and I just thought it was perfect to put on this because the card is definitely not perfect, so why not put Embracing Perfection on it? And then this series of cards here was a little bit interesting. I mentioned when I did my mini albums that I had put in some tags that were from a We Are Member Keepers pack that I had picked up at Scrapfest 2 years ago. And I ended up using the rest of them to make these cards and doing some layering and stuff. And this sentiment, there's a couple sentiments coming up that are like this, that are like on yellow, and they're in this font. And they are actually from the border strip page in the paper pad, so I thought they would work well as sentiments on cards. There's only one sentiment that I didn't use, which was, it said "Be Better Today," and I just thought that was a weird sentiment, so I didn't use those, but I used the rest of them, and I just kind of let the paper do the work and the card and the tags do the work, and then just a little bit of embellishment. I actually am really happy with how these ones came out. These are some of the first cards that I made using up some scraps, and I was able to use some rogue cut aparts and border strip pieces that I couldn't figure out how else to use them as sentiments on the front of the cards. Got a couple more here using up some journaling cards from my stash. And then this one I just used a bunch of scraps that were all blue and teal, and then put this last of the We Are Memory Keepers tags on it, and I backed it up on craft to have it pop out a little from all the busyness going off in the background. These are some of those card bases that I mentioned in my How I Organized My Journaling Cards video, where I said I had intended to film this video, and then I found a bunch of bases that I hadn't used. These are some of them. And what I ended up doing was I have these little 2x2 paper pad sort of things. I believe they're by Pink Paisley. And like they have one called Freezes and one called Swatches, and there's these like little 2x2 cardstock pieces, and I used a few more of them on some other cards coming up, but they just seem to have similar color schemes to a lot of the card bases that I had made, so I just stuck them on here as the sentiments. And then these were all sort of my take on a card design that I have seen a lot, where you've got, you know, just squares on squares on squares on squares, and I used some more of those Pink Paisley phrase 2x2 squares, and then for some of them to sort of pad it out, because I didn't have quite enough square scraps, I did use some of the coordinating swatches from those Pink Paisley little 2x2 pads, and I think these turned out pretty good. They're pretty minimalist, which is not always my style, but I think they worked out pretty well. And that is it for my final project share of the kill off of the Antique Street 12x12 paper pad. I'm very happy to be done with this. By the end of this, I was really struggling. I know I mentioned that in a couple of videos. I expected to be done with these long before now, and that wasn't the case because I really struggled with some of these scraps and how to use them up. But I'm glad that I did it. I feel very accomplished to have done it. I'm looking forward to moving on to something different now. I will go into what that is in the next video to show you everything that I used up outside of just the paper pad. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed this series, please give it a big thumbs up. Please give the video a share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click that little bell in the corner to be notified when I next upload a video. Feel free to check out my Instagram and my Facebook group. They will be linked below as always, and I will see you guys in the next one.